Hi, Daryl Ritchie, psychologist here. I have a challenge for you. Let me explain how I came to this challenge, then I'll explain what the challenge is, why you might consider doing it, maybe some how-tos and alternatives. I was listening to a sermon by Mike Bickle last week where he referred to Revelation chapter 3, the Laodicean church. They were a lukewarm, spiritually lukewarm group of people. And they were saying, we are rich and we have need of nothing. And Jesus said to them, you don't know that you're wretched and pitiful and poor and blind and naked. And then he gave them kind of a way out of that. Spiritually, they were a mess. But his way out was to say, I counsel you to buy from me gold refined by fire. Now, Mike Bickle's sermon referred to that, and then he was talking about where is the gold? That was a question I had after reading that passage. And he said that a good place to mine for gold would be in the Upper Room Discourse. Now, the Upper Room Discourse refers to the Gospel of John, chapters 13 through 17. So that's where the challenge comes from. What is the challenge? It is to memorize the Upper Room Discourse, John chapters 13 through 17. Now, before you turn me off, hear me out about this. First of all, why would you even want to do that? First reason is the reason that Jesus gave to the Laodicean church. That is, to build up spiritually. As you do memory work, you will get into many mysteries and understandings and questions and so on that you would never get into by just a passive reading or even an in-depth reading. So, first reason, I can't really emphasize enough, and you won't be able to realize fully until you actually engage it, but it is to grow spiritually. Second one is for a psychological defense. Some years ago, I was working with a gentleman who made an appointment to see me for counseling because he was having panic attacks. He didn't show up for his appointment. And when I called him to find out why he didn't show up, he said that he had become so fearful of having the panic attack that he couldn't leave his home. He would have a panic attack, think he was having a heart attack, and end up in an emergency room every time he left his home for the couple of weeks before he was to have that appointment. So he just stopped leaving. And that's called agoraphobia. We searched for ways that he might distract himself from the anticipation of those panic attacks so he could get out of his house. And he recalled that he had memorized a lengthy poem when he was a child that he could still recite. And so our game plan was that he would begin to recite that poem as he was preparing to go. And he did that. And he was able to leave and get to our appointment, which was a tremendous first step in his addressing his panic attacks, simply by distracting himself from thoughts that otherwise would impair him. So the second real benefit to memorization is to engage your mind in a deliberate way so that you can distract yourself from things that might otherwise be impairing or dysfunctional. So those are the whys of doing it. How do you go about doing it? There are 5 chapters, total of 155 verses. I would suggest doing 1 verse per day, 5 days per week. And on that schedule, it would take 8 months to do it. So it would just be a deliberate, persistent process. And I hope you'll really consider it. Even if you only get started, maybe you'll only do a few verses and say, I can't do this, or you may do a chapter and drop out, or you may get through the whole thing. Usually in times in the past when I've memorized lengthy portions of Scripture, I don't recall them later on. It's usually the process of doing it when I get in depth with that and get the benefit from it while I'm doing the memorization work. And then I remember it for a period of time and eventually it fades away. So that would be my challenge for you. I think you can probably pull this off. I would love for you to, if you're watching on YouTube, for you to make comments in the comment section about whether or not you've done this before and how you've gone about doing it. And then I'd like to do follow-up videos every once in a while to chronicle the journey I hope you would do the same thing, that you would consider actually doing your own YouTube videos to talk about how you'd been able to manage it. And certainly I would appreciate ongoing dialogue through the comments section. So that's the challenge. I hope you'll take me up on it. I'll put my website in the description area. All the references that I've made in this video and more will be in the resource section on the website. Please like and subscribe so you can follow up with this process, and share this if you will so that other people can get on board. I hope you'll do it. Thanks for watching.